Good morning, everyone. So you could have been anywhere in the world today, but you decided to be with us at the ESMP Q&A clinic, and we thank you for that. So we'll be going through the session, introducing some new things that we put in the platform, so some enhancements, and then also, obviously, the main part of the session will be us taking your questions. Now, I'll jump straight in because we're 2 minutes over, so I believe everyone should be in the session. So, yes, in terms of the general housekeeping, the session is being recorded and it will be made available through EMA's corporate website. And also we have a YouTube channel where there's an ESMP training playlist. And of course, we'll be adding that there as well. Now you can ask your questions and give your input via Slido. And of course, this interaction is voluntary. You may opt to remain anonymous. And if you do choose to use Slido, you are consenting to the standard EMA data processing of personal data. And of course, all the terms and conditions are also here. So this is the link where you can send your questions. So you can join via the QR code, and then also others can send or upvote the questions, and they will be shown on the screen. Yes, please go in the slido.com, and the session code is MAHQA, as you can see on the left-hand side. Now, so changes to the platform. So we're just going to run you real quick through what's new. And the main changes affected the routine shortage reporting functionality. So we wanted to improve the quality and efficiency of the data submission process there. Now we have changed some conformance rules for some data elements, and we made them conditional based on the type of shortage. So if there's a potential actual or resolved shortage, then you will also need to populate the free text fields dealing with the root cause of the shortage, the shortage prevention and mitigation plans, the shortage impact risk assessment, and whether you have notified other authorities, and if there's a reference to a QD report. Now, we've noticed that just by choosing the RMS IDs of these specific data fields, so root cause of shortage, shortage prevention mitigation plan, shortage impact risk assessment, we're not getting a lot of information. Of course, we get the basic information, but very often there's a bit more background to it. So we've noticed that often we need to get back to you, the industry, and then ask for that information. So now we're just streamlining that and asking you to give us a bit more information on the actual shortage while you're doing the initial submission. So again, it's to speed up the reporting process. In addition to that, we've also added some package identification across the reporting template. So we are now displaying information on the packaging, so which now has been renamed to package description to be more accurate in terms of what we are displaying, and it includes package description data, which is pre-populated directly from PMS. And again, that's to support accurate product selection during reporting. So data in PMS, if it came from Article 57, that's mostly for nationally authorized products, it will have the information that was in the packaging field, which was a free text field, which then you, the industry users doing product data entry, would have been populating. So if you see anything in that data element which does not make sense to you, then you can also amend it yourself, and then it will be reflected. Of course, you can amend it in PMS, and then it will be reflected in the ESMP and in your templates. And of course, if there's more information needed on that, we also have PMS colleagues on the line who can help. If we go to the next slide, thank you. We also updated the available materials. Now the guidance documents, we did updates to the introductory sections, preliminary requirements, all the data fields that were changed, and as well as the conformance and the validation rules to reflect all these changes. So the user guide, implementation guide, reporting prototypes have all been updated to reflect that. The frequently asked questions document, that's a living document. Well, they all are, but this one particularly, we aim to add new questions and new sections. So we keep doing that. And also we have added some more questions, which we've been often receiving from the industry. And we hope that they are helpful. Also in the documents, we have added sections on how to report marketing status in addition to reporting shortage information. When does one need to be reported and maybe not the other? So you will find that information there as well. We also updated the informational brief and ESMP essentials document to align with the new visual design. Now, we wanted to highlight some best practice points which we've noticed have been causing trouble or confusion with some of you on the industry side. So just to make sure that we touch upon them in this session. So, of course, the general message is that you should try to include as much information as possible in the applicable data elements from the start. So if some information is not yet available, do indicate that and update the submission as soon as this information is available. Now, pay particular attention to the root cause section, as we have seen that that section is not often not comprehensively fulfilled and submitted. And do mention if the shortage is linked to a global issue, whether other countries may also be affected in the future, or if you are expecting the issue to remain local. That really helps us to gauge the impact of the shortage and its global presence. Do always choose the most accurate RMS terms. Only really when none of the terms apply should you use the term other, and do provide then additional information in the free text field where it says that you can add additional information. In terms of manufacturing issues, it really helps us if you can clarify the nature there. So do provide any detail, whether these issues relate to quality concerns, there's suspected Q defects, or they were already notified via a quality defect notice. So do specify what the issue is, could it affect other products, and any other information that you have. And also if you can give us details on the concerned manufacturing sites and processes. So any of that information is helpful to us to have the full picture of the shortage. So of course, the more specific and comprehensive the information that you include, the fewer follow-up queries you'll get from the EMA, and the whole speed of interaction will be much quicker. So do verify that information that you're submitting is accurate, and do send us regular updates. Of course, so you should regularly review and verify all the submitted information. And if any changes occur, then the submission should be updated to reflect the most accurate status as soon as possible. So do review the pre-populated information, make sure all the mandatory fields are completed, double check all the fields before the submission to avoid discrepancies. In terms of the user roles and affiliation, so make sure you have the correct affiliation with the organization set up for which you want to do the submission for. For centrally authorized products, checking the marketing status in IRIS for products you are missing in the templates is often why we'll explain why you're not seeing them. So only products for which the marketing status is marketed or temporarily unavailable in IRIS will show up in your ESMP reporting templates. So if the data on the marketing status for the product that you want to submit data in the ESMP has not been inserted in IRIS, then you will not be able to do that submission as well. Do update the shortage status, the expected dates, and the applicable additional information. Of course, when new data becomes available, when you know something new on the shortage, and do update it upon the resolution of the shortage as well. So make sure that you have changed the shortage status from actual or potential to resolved when the shortage actually resolves, and with the applicable dates and other information. Now, of course, the regular and accurate updates do streamline the process and improve the effectiveness of overall shortage management. And my last slide, participate in open communication with the EMA. So what does that mean? It means that you might get emails from us asking you additional questions. So do please participate in that communication with us because we try to get as much information as soon as possible, and use the appropriate EMA channels to ask questions and ensure smooth collaboration. And in all the guidance documents that we have, there's a section which explains more on how you can ask questions, how you can report issues. So all of that is listed there. When you get an email from us, there will be EMA IRIS in the subject line. So please do not change that, because there is an automatic message sorting that goes in the case management. So of course we want to keep all our communication pertaining to a specific case there, so we can have it all tracked. So please do not change the subject line. And also, very importantly, do ensure that all the ISPOC contact details are up to date. So all your affiliated marketing authorization holders need to have an ISPOC, and they need to be up to date. In terms of broader ESMP communication efforts, do look at the ESMP webpage. We also send email communication to all registered ISPOCs. And of course, if there will be a crisis or MSSG-led preparedness action, so action from your side will be required should you find yourself, should your products find yourself in the scope of reporting, you will get targeted communication for that. And we will be contacting the ISPOC, so please, again, do keep that information updated. Ask also all your ad hoc questions via Ask EMA and EMA Service Desk. Ask EMA is more about general question, and Service Desk is more about system issues and technicalities. So, of course, all the proactive and open communication prevents misunderstandings and ensure that we can resolve your issues as soon as possible. And I think that's the last slide from me, so we can put on the Slido code if there's additional questions that you want to submit. And now I'm going to pass it over to Stephanie to take us through the questions.
Indeed. Good morning, everybody. Also from my side, thank you so much for joining the session and a high interest in this. Also the questions that you submitted previously already. If you have any additional questions also on the information just presented, please join again the Slido via the QR code here on the slide. On the following slides, it will be shown as well, or via slido.com, entering the hashtag MAH-QA. And then also please upvote the questions that you want to hear answered first, or that you're interested in. And also we will update and revise the FAQ document on the ESMP webpage after the session with any frequently asked questions as well. But of course, as Sophia mentioned, you can always send us additional questions via Ask EMA. It's a contact form on the EMA website. Okay, so we start right into the questions. So the first question is, in the past, we have received feedback multiple times only to report shortages lasting over 2 weeks. In the previous Q&A, however, it was mentioned that we need to report even if it's only a day. Can this be clarified to avoid unnecessary reporting and administrative workload? And indeed, so as you are aware, the new pharma legislation was proposed by the Commission and the Council has discussed this, not agreed, but discussed this. And we have the Council proposal for the new pharma legislation now, and they agreed that a temporary disruption in supply of a medicinal product in a given member state of an expected duration over 2 weeks, in excess of 2 weeks, needs to be notified. So as this is just a council agreed proposal, this is of course subject to change. But for the meantime, this is our state of knowledge, and we advise you as well. Going to the next question. In some cases, we can mitigate shortages by importing foreign packs, ensuring product is available for the patients. Would it still be considered a shortage if foreign packs are supplied to the market and patients do not face stockouts? Even if a potential or actual shortage is mitigated or managed through exemptions to local labeling requirements, import, those still qualify as shortages. And the fact that a company deploys remedial actions, for example, at the discretion of the company under its shortage risk assessment, like sourcing products in foreign labeling, it does not prevent companies from meeting the national or also central shortage notification obligation in the affected countries. Therefore, these would still need to be notified to us and also according to the national reporting requirements. Moving on to the next question. National shortage definition and requirements differ. We report shortages in ESMP only if we report to our national health authority as well for consistency reasons. Is this acceptable for EMA? For this question, I would like to point you to the Regulation 2022-123. We have the shortage definition in there. You can look it up as well, but I will for now cite it. So according to Regulation 2022-123, a shortage means a situation in which the supply of a medicinal product that is authorized and placed on the market in a member state or of a CE marked medical device does not meet the demand for that medicinal product or medical device at a national level, whatever the cause. So in case there is a shortage, it should be notified to EMA. Member states have different reporting requirements and obligations, but if this shortage definition is fulfilled for EMA, it has to be notified via, for centrally authorized products, of course, via the ESMP to EMA and the routine shortage reporting function.
We have Peter Jan online. Would you like to add something?
I'd also like to add that on EMA level and together with the members of the SPOC Working Party, we are working on harmonizing the definition of shortages so that we can provide an example of a harmonized shortage definition. Of course, implementing it into national legislation is still the responsibility of the nations, but we are working on providing a harmonized definition as well as looking into all of the national requirements and seeing if we also can bring them together on an EU level also to come up with a harmonized proposal. So we understand that the different definitions and the different requirements are giving a lot of extra work. We are working on it. That is, we are working on it. We're looking to harmonize as much as we can. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for this addition. Moving on to the next question. Could you please consider to add the marketing authorization number in ESMP, especially in the downloaded reporting template, to ensure an unambiguous assignment of the respective shortage to the specific medicinal product? And I give this question to Sophia.
Thank you very much for the question. So definitely this is something that we've been considering. We've been slightly reluctant to do it since adding another field means that whoever has some file saved that they're reusing for upload and so on, that would kind of mess up a little bit their processes. But of course, whenever we're going to have the next bigger update of the routine shortage reporting, this will be also one of the things that will include. So we're hearing you loud and clear, and thank you for the suggestion.
Thank you, Sophia. Moving on to the next question. When is feedback expected on the pilot to implement shortage prevention and mitigation plans? Will they become mandatory outside a crisis event under the reform of the EU pharmaceutical legislation? And I would like to hand this question to Vanessa, who joins us online.
Good morning, colleagues. Maybe just to first start and say that the pilot is ongoing, it's coming to an end, and EMA is in close contact with the marketing authorisation holders that are involved in that pilot on a regular basis. There will be a report following the pilot by the end of this year, and that will of course be made available. And in terms of what will be required, that remains to be seen as the negotiations on the proposed pharmaceutical legislation, of course, are ongoing. So we can't confirm what the scope of shortage prevention plans will be at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Vanessa. Moving on. In industry, there are markets supplied solely under tender requests with specific start and end dates. At the end of the tender, we do not consider this a reportable shortage, so no submission in the ESMP. Can we simply update IRIS to indicate the presentation as temporarily unavailable, but no shortage? So this question I can take. So we understand this concerns a specific situation, for example, for product subject to tendering under the hospital setting. And it's our view that shortages must be reported while a licensed medicine is being sourced through tender procedures. But we will look into this provision internally and also develop further external guidance for these examples. For this, it would be really useful to us if you could submit more information, for example, via Ask EMA, so that we can further look into the specific examples that you're referring to, and then we can develop more guidance and provide support for you on this. Thank you. Next question. Have there been any updates regarding the definition of potential shortage from the EMA working group on this topic? Peter Jan online, maybe you want to take this?
At the moment, specifically on the potential shortage, we cannot give an update. What we do say is that we've now gone to a first phase when we looked at the definition of a shortage, and now we're going to the next phase where we are talking about the subdivisions such as a potential shortage, as well as how to look at case management. So for the moment, I cannot give an update, but we will be able to give one probably in the upcoming sessions.
Okay, thank you so much, Peter Jan. Moving on to the next question, which is, could you please confirm that the shortages that are the result of a discontinuation, for example, stock exhausted, are not reportable to EMA through the ESMP? Indeed, when the marketing status is not marketed, which is a permanent discontinuation of the product, then products are not reportable through the ESMP. However, this needs to be indicated in IRIS. In case the product is discontinued, the product is permanently ceased from marketing, this needs to be reported in IRIS, and there is a question you will be asked in the reporting form in IRIS, which is, does the discontinuation or does the marketing status change lead to a shortage? And there you have to indicate yes or no, and we will work on these cases within the IRIS platform, not within ESMP for now. Moving on to the next question. We are experiencing that some products are not visible in PMS due to synchronization issues with Iris. The EMA expects the bug to be fixed by Q3. Is ESMP team aware that not all products are accessible in PMS and thereby in ESMP? And I give that to Sophia.
Yes, so I'm gonna pass it over to PMS colleagues just to see if there is any update there. So we got several let's say tickets through the relevant EMA reporting channels saying that some MAHs were not able to report shortages, so then we liaise with them directly. But as far as I understand, it has not been a very widespread issue as at least from the ESMP side for shortage reporting. But I will pass over to PMS colleagues just to see if there's any updates on that they'd like to share.
Yeah, so hello. No, I mean, what the question is saying is correct. There is an issue with some products that cannot be loaded in Iris and therefore are not available in ESMP due to the missing authorized dose form. This is a bug that we are solving now in Q3. Yeah, as also Sophia said, I think it's something that ESMP acknowledge, and as you said, there is not a big impact for the moment, and then now in Q3 that we will solve the issue, then the problem should disappear.
Thank you, Marco. So yes, if you're facing that issue, do let us know through the ESMP service desk, and we'll then liaise with you directly. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much, Sophia and Marcus. Moving on. The next question is, any plan when non-cups will be included into the system? And this one goes to Sophia.
Yes, thank you. It seems like a very simple question, although yes, answering it is slightly more nuanced. Now, the EMA, the shortage reporting process that is currently there says that only shortages of centrally authorized products need to be reported to the EMA. Shortages of nationally authorized products need to be reported to the national databases, but okay, of course, also shortages of centrally authorized products when they're impacting a specific member state need to be notified to those member states. However, the ESMP is not currently foreseen to be a centralized platform for all reporting of shortages. So currently there is no plan to include non-CAPs in the routine shortage reporting activities. So reporting for non-CAPs is there only if there is a crisis or MSG-led preparedness activity, and then it applies to particular products that are in the scope of reporting, so in the scope of managing that crisis or in scope of that MSG-led preparedness activity.
Okay, thank you so much. Moving on. The next question is, can you explain how much time is considered as shortage? Will closer definition be provided? So as already mentioned in the session, the EMA and the SPOC Working Party are working on implementation of the definition of a shortage, what exactly it means. However, and also as mentioned into the first question in the session, the Council proposal for the new pharma legislation proposes that shortage which excesses the duration of 2 weeks should be notified. And also you should notify a potential or an actual shortage as soon as you become aware of it, which means as early as possible. This should hopefully answer the question. Anything to add from my colleagues for this question also? And then moving on. Could you please give us some tangible examples of what EMA is doing with the information we provide over and above NCA actions, and what benefits this is providing to patients in shortage mitigation? So I can start with this, and if colleagues want to add to that, of course, feel free. So, of course, it depends on the specific shortage case. What we do with the information that you provide, we are assessing each and every case that you send to us, and internally we look at it, the information that you give, the impact the shortage may have onto patients, and in the case that we need to engage in the shortage mitigation and management, or maybe also the prevention of the shortage, then we can, for example, step into contact with the MAH who is experiencing the shortage, but we can also step into contact with alternative MAHs. Of course, we are in close contact with the SPOC Working Party members, which means the National Competent Authority members who are working on shortages. We can also step into contact with global regulators and liaise with them on shortages. For example, bigger cases, which you may be aware about, is the antibiotics and the MSSG-led preparedness exercise to avoid antibiotics shortages in the winter of 2023. And also there are the MSSG toolkit actions, which you can also find on our EMA website, which refers to regulatory actions, regulatory flexibilities that may be provided in terms to mitigate or manage a shortage. We could also look into sourcing product from third countries and lots of different other examples. So I hope this answers your curiosities, and of course what benefits this is providing to patients in shortage. When there is more product available to patients, more patients benefit from this, and we are trying our best, of course, to support you and to support the national competent authorities to have impact on patients as low as possible, and possibly also to prevent shortages from happening. Moving on to the next question. Could we detach the reporting in IRIS and ESMP? Having to first update IRIS before being able to complete ESMP is making us lose time, as this is done by two different departments in our company. I will give it to Sophia.
Yes, it's a very good question, and we are well aware that this is not the most convenient solution. So we are in constant conversations in terms of setting up systems which are future-proof and are most efficient for in terms of the also user experience and reporting pathways. So we will keep having conversations on this, and maybe at some point in the future find a solution that would streamline that reporting process. That's unfortunately as much information as I have at this moment. But again, we keep that in mind, and we will keep having these conversations.
Okay, thank you so much. I would also like to highlight here, as is also explained in the IRIS guide for applicants, that a shortage does not always mean that you have to update the marketing status. It may be that there is a shortage due to increase in demand, for example, when the marketing status remains marketed, for example, and you don't have to update it. So you don't always have to first update the IRIS before you can complete ESMP. But of course, if products are not showing up, and as Sophia explained, then it's necessary. Okay. Moving on to the next question. Will reporting of shortage replace local shortage reporting in the future? If yes, where it will be replaced by EMA system? And I give this question to Pedro Ferreira, who's with us today too.
Thank you, Stephanie. Good morning, all. Indeed, this is not a new question. We are aware of the issue reported by you in many situations. In the past, we had this question, and Sophia explained we do not have a plan right now. We do not have a plan, although we are assessing what can be done, but with no guarantees that a plan will come in the near future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Pedro. The next question is, the deadline for enrichment of MBOs and pack size for the Union list of critical medicine products is still end 2025. The data to be enriched is extensive and the bulk update too. The bulk update tool or API write are not yet implemented, which is a heavy administrative burden for generics manufacturers. Are you already considering extending the deadline? I can give this question to Veronica, who is with us online.
Yeah, I can't reply. Hello, everybody. Regarding the deadline, because this is, I think, it's something for Sophia and the ESMP team. But I can reassure you that in 2 weeks' time, we are starting the UAT with externals, testing the bulk functionality in PUI and also the write functionality in PMS API. So if everything goes well, we target opening both tools by end of Q3, maximum beginning of Q4, but we really target September. And then I'll pass the floor to my colleague Sophia, so maybe you want to comment on the deadline. Thanks.
Pedro, you wanted to add?
Yes, indeed. It is a good question. That this question was also asked during the PMS Info Day in May, and our PMS colleagues replied exactly what Veronica just said. So we are looking in accelerating the use of the bulk upload. Hopefully, this will help you. But the question we reverted to industry at the time, what would be the guarantees that this postpones, speed up the completion of the task? So we haven't got any confirmation from industry. The only task and action we can guarantee is what Veronica said. If even after that it is necessary to postpone, we will consider that, but so far we haven't received any guarantee that the postponement will help you to deliver this task in due time, whether it will be the end of Q4 or end of Q1 2026.
Okay, thank you so much. Moving on to the next question. If the potential shortage is not predicted to be longer than 2 weeks, does it need to be reported as a potential shortage? This is a quite complicated question indeed. If it's a potential shortage and you don't expect it to be longer than 2 weeks, for example, if it's just a shortage of a day and you expect the supply to be there definitely again the next day, then you may consider that. But however, we experienced that the shortage end date or expected end date may be prolonged due to circumstances that you can maybe not foresee while reporting it. Therefore, you should consider reporting it as a potential shortage and then reporting it as resolved when it was prevented as such. If my colleagues want to add anything on that, please feel free. I have one more comment on this actually. Often discontinuations are commercially driven, for example, due to low sales and low number of patients. In this case, of course, the impact on the patients would be quite low. And then if it's shorter than 2 weeks, this may be acceptable. Moving on to the next question. Can you take us through Figure 1, decision tree on the FAQ to explain with examples of a cessation with and without a shortage, please? This is referring to the flow chart, the process relation between the notification of marketing status via the IRIS platform and reporting via the ESMP. So here, because we received many questions on this, when the marketing status needs to be changed and when a shortage needs to be reported. So we wanted to provide some guidance on this. So We can try to bring the flow chart up on screen. Give us 1 second. Good. Okay, so the flowchart starts with the product with the marketing status, which is marketed. And in case, there could be different scenarios. So the first box is asking, will the MAH temporarily cease the marketing of the product? So the marketing status will change to temporarily unavailable in IRIS. And there's 2 pathways. One is no, and one is yes. If you follow no, the marketing status will remain marketed in IRIS. And then the next question is actually that then MAH has to ask themselves if there is currently a potential or an actual shortage of the product while the marketing status remains marketed. And if there's no shortage, then no action is needed. But if there is a shortage, the product may remain with the marketing status marketed in IRIS, but the potential or actual shortage has to be reported via the ESMP. For example, due to increased demand, a shortage appears, the product remains marketed, meaning placed on the market, but there is anyway a shortage, so this will be reported via the ESMP. In the other scenario, that the MAH, due to whatever decision, changes the marketing status to temporarily unavailable, the arrow with the yes goes down. And then in IRIS, you also need to indicate if the cessation leads to a shortage, and there is 2 options, no and yes. No, then you just need to update the marketing status to temporarily unavailable in IRIS. And if actually the temporary cessation leads to a shortage, then we follow to the right side, the yes, and there you have to update the marketing status to temporarily unavailable and also report the shortage in ESMP at the same time. Can we scroll down a bit, please? Okay, thank you so much. So after these actions are done, at some point in the future, of course, the MAH will have to take action again, either change the marketing status back to again marketed, or maybe the MAH decides to say the product shall be permanently discontinued, so the marketing status needs to change to not marketed. So in case the shortage is resolved and the MAH markets the product again, keep in mind the marketing status just now was temporarily unavailable. So then in case the MAH places the product again on the market, meaning the marketing status changes to marketed, there will need to be an update on the shortage details in ESMP as well. And also the marketing status in IRIS needs to be updated. The other option that we have here on screen is the status will change to not marketed. So then, and this is actually being again under discussion at the moment. If you have to update the shortage to resolved in ESMP before the end date, before the date that actually the marketing changes to not marketed. For ESMP, you are not able to report the end of the shortage anymore after the marketing status changes to not marketed. So therefore, we advise that you change the shortage in ESMP, including the resolution date, before you update the marketing status to not marketed, as otherwise you are not able to see the product in ESMP anymore and you cannot update the shortage information. However, when you report the product to be not marketed in IRIS, you will also be asked again the question, does the cessation lead to a shortage? And there you can indicate yes and no, and we will, as mentioned before, deal with these cases within the IRIS platform, not through ESMP. So I hope this provides some more clarity on this process flow. And if we can go back to the questions, thank you so much. Also, if my colleagues want to add anything on that. Okay. Thank you. Then moving on to the next question. How to ensure the shortage of medicinal products in ESMP which are missing in PMS? I'll give this to Sophia.
So yes, for these cases, please do report them to us via a service desk or ask EMA, and then we'll get back to you directly. So also, as Marco said, this issue should be fixed now shortly in the next quarter. So hopefully this issue will go away. But in the meantime, yeah, do let us know via those alternative channels. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. The next question refers again to the Union List of Critical Medicines deadline for the PMS data. Even if bulk update tool is available tomorrow, the effort is still high. The reason so little has been delivered until now is the double effort it would generate for industry, tracking data in own RIMS and PMS. Therefore, everyone is waiting for appropriate technical solution. Thank you for this comment, and I can give the floor to Pedro and Veronica if you want to add anything on this.
I can start. Well, this is a comment. This is not a question, right? And again, I will reiterate what I said before. Sorry, we are open to discuss new deadlines, and hopefully with this bulk upload, this will help you a lot. I think the right forum to discuss the deadlines are during the quarterly strategic portfolio review, where industry associations have a seat. And as we discussed in the PMS Info Day, perhaps the next quarterly strategic portfolio review will be the ideal time to discuss that. But again, we have to have guarantees that the work will be done. So we are aware of the difficulties. A new piece of software is coming ahead to help you, and we are open. But we also need to have guarantees that the deadline, once extended, will be enough for you to deliver what is expected.
Thank you so much, Pedro. Veronica, in case you would like to add anything, but
nothing really specific. It's just that maybe I can share a bit more information on this UAT, because colleagues, I really want to reassure you that we are hitting the timelines and the plans that we have agreed. So for the PUI, I think we will be starting the PUI UAT from the 7th of July to the 18th of July. So I really expect by beginning of August to know if there is any blocker or anything that will allow us to review the plan. But we tested already internally and is working. So I'm pretty sure that it can work also externally. Of course, we need to wait the externals, the feedback from external testers. And for the API, which I think is the important one also for those colleagues who rely on the RIM systems. This is also running from the 7th to the 7th of August, so 1 full month, and at the same time of the PUI UAT, exactly on the purpose to test multiple case scenarios and situations. So I'm aware that the industry needs also time. By the time we enable the production environment for the edit API, they need time to align their internal system to PMS API. But for the moment, this is running as expected and as planned. So I'm sure we can be in contact with industry and trade organizations in case you have more comments on that. But please be reassured, we are working and doing the maximum as we can to deliver those technologies. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Pedro and Veronica. Moving on to the next question, which is about the implementation guide of the ESMP. The description of S5.2 is list of all notified authorities that were notified of the quality defect, including the reference numbers to the respective quality defect report. So we only need to complete it if the root cause is quality defect. Is that correct? I give that to Sophia.
Thank you. So yes, we've seen that there are additional scenarios where this field could be useful to input additional information. So again, whatever additional information you have, do let us know. You can also put it in this field. But yeah, we're also going to consider rewording that so we make it a bit wider and applicable to some other categories as well.
Okay, thank you so much. Moving on. Will there be update to ESMP at some point where the new shortages and updates can be performed directly with user-friendly interface instead of the Excel files? You could consult Finnish Medicines Agency as they made such change some years back, i.e. from Excel to browser interface. I can give this to Sophia again.
Absolutely. We're smiling here because we had so many conversations while building the product on the decision to have the data submission go via user interface directly via the browser or via the submission of Excels. And we had industry representatives, 3 industry representatives that were an essential part of the product delivery team who are informing us that it is much more practical for the industry to have the data submission happen via Excel, because then a large amount of data can be sent at the same time. Also, the data can be copy-pasted against the applicable fields and so on. So we were continuously asked to prefer the Excel upload. Now, of course, as the product will develop further, we might consider adding the functionality to submit data via the browser interface, but so far that is not planned. Pedro, if you want to add something.
Yes, and in addition to this explanation, the starting point of development of this product was also the minimum viable product. So we had to stick with the deadlines and the budget we had at the time in order to address the due date of the legislation. So that's one important caveat. Now that is behind, and we can think about the next phases. But we also developed an API, and the API is also an alternative for submission of data. So even if you do not prefer to submit the data through the Excel, bulk upload and extract information from your logistics system, and then upload that to the ESMP, you can also use the API as an alternative way of interacting and submitting information between your local systems and the ESMP. So I also encourage you to look at the API and eventually consider that as an option until we further developed our user interface.
We'll also give the floor to Pedro Oliveira, who wanted to add something.
Good morning, everyone. No, I just wanted to add to what was just said. So Pedro mentioned the API, and we would think that we would always favor API because that would lead to much more automation and efficiency. So we would, in the choice of investment, we would normally prefer to invest on APIs instead of user interfaces. And then the other point, just to add on the Excels, one of the discussions with the industry colleagues was that will allow a simple integration with your system. So you could export the information from your systems and then work on it on Excel to format it to the format of ESMP. So which we could not do on the user interface. The other issues we have with the user interface that we look at, it's how complex the user interface quickly gets when you have multiple packages and so on in multiple countries, which is the case of CAPS. So that was one of the reasons, another reason why we favored Excel. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you all very much for these answers. Indeed. Moving on to the next question, bringing it up. Regarding iris reporting for marketing status, in the field, does cessation lead to shortage? Should this consider also the market and competitors for the specific product? I.e., if we have a cessation of certain product, but we are not the only player in the market, should we still mark as yes? So this is an excellent question, indeed. In case you can foresee that the cessation of your product leaves a gap in the market that leaves maybe a shortage of a competitor product in the market because you had a high market share of this product, or other reasons, then please indeed indicate as a yes, because this will give us information that we can act upon and maybe prevent shortages or mitigate shortages, the impact of the shortage for patients as well. So indeed, then indicate it as yes if you foresee that there should be no gap in the market because there was very low sales or no sales at all of the product. Then indicate as a no because you don't expect there to be a gap in the market. Thank you for this question as well. The next question is, are there plans to provide digital structured data of reported shortages to be implemented into clinical drug information systems, for example, in hospital and community pharmacies? And I can give this question to Sophia.
Absolutely, thank you. Another excellent question. So at a national level, there are some countries who already have that, so fully connected systems for reporting shortages, and then the systems that doctors and pharmacies use to prescribe and dispense medicines. So the ESMP is on a European level, so currently we only collect data on shortages, and it's not the data doesn't flow further to any hospital and pharmacy systems. Of course, also the landscape on a European level is very varied, and also there are different reporting standards, different levels of system maturity. So again, the situation on a European level is very colorful. So we cannot speak to the situation at every country level, but of course, different countries will have different levels of maturity of systems and different levels of integration of those systems. So it will be very member state specific.
Thank you very much. Moving on. What are the consequences of not reporting shortage on time or at all? So, obligations for industry's shortage reporting are enshrined in the EU law, and industry shall ensure supply continuity under the directive as well. While there are enforcement tools in place centrally, some countries may apply also sanctions nationally, maybe financial sanctions. Further consequences of not reporting shortages to us is also taking the chance from us to support mitigation actions or prevention actions on this, and therefore decreasing the impact on patients. So it is a collaboration that we take on shortage mitigation to have less consequences for patients on this. So thank you for the question, very important, and indeed very important that you report shortages to us at all times. Moving on to the next question. Should supply shortages of medicinal devices be reported in addition to approved pharmaceuticals? How do you ensure the knowledge of medical product manufacturers regarding the proposed system? This question is not in scope of ESMP. Sophia, do you want to add something on that? For reporting of medical device shortages, which is just an obligation in crisis at the moment, and we will make available the critical medical devices system in crisis for the reporting of such. For any other comments or further questions on this, I would also ask you to ask this question via our contact form on the EMA website, Ask EMA, and we will come back to you with further details on that, as the colleagues who are working on this are currently not with us today. Thank you for this question anyway.
Nothing else to add.
Moving on to the next question. How to report 2 different periods of shortage of the same product in the same country, for example, out of stock now and then again end of July. Excellent question. Can I hand over to you, Sophia?
Yeah, please. So I would say, of course, use the shortage start and end dates for the first shortage. And then if you're aware of any other shortages that will be happening, do add that in the any field where you can add additional information in free text form. And then, of course, when that particular shortage gets resolved, then you can report a new start and end date. But yeah, of course, don't be shy. Use the free text index fields for any other information that doesn't fit in the data elements that have predefined formats.
Thank you very much. Moving on. Can EMA confirm that an out-of-stock or similar issue affecting a single batch of an autologous ex vivo gene therapy, where remanufacturing for that patient is potentially not possible, would not constitute a product shortage requiring ESMP notification? This is a very specific example. In general, if a centrally authorized product that is placed on the market suffers a shortage, it should be reported to us via the ESMP. We had an example of the product which was in shortage as well, and we helped mitigate the shortage there as well. So we would like you to report the shortage to us, but of course these products are patient-specific, and we will look further into this to provide more guidance on these products to you as well. As such, we would still, for the moment, like you to report them via the ESMP. Moving on to the next question. Could EMA clarify the approach for defining shortage for personalized products, specifically autologous ex vivo gene therapies, where each batch is patient-specific, where no alternative products exist? Regardless of the application, scope, or type, the personalized medicines are also subject to shortage reporting for now, but as said, we will look into this and try to provide further guidance on these products in the future. The next question, is there any indication of when the MSSG crisis reporting may start to be required, or if the Critical Medicines Act is going to influence this? So for the first part, I can hand to Sophia.
Absolutely. So the MSSG, crisis reporting, of course, is triggered when there is a crisis, so a public health emergency or a major event. Unfortunately, we are not able to predict those. So when the situation occurs and the European Commission recognizes that as a crisis, then the MSSG will define the list of products and then trigger that crisis reporting. So it's very case specific. In terms of the Critical Medicines Act, I do not see parallels, but maybe Vanessa can help us more with that.
Thank you. Maybe just to say that the provisions in the Critical Medicines Act, as it is proposed, are rather linked to Chapter 10, Section 2 of the proposed pharmaceutical legislation, so the provisions on security of supply of medicines on the union list. So what's set out in the Critical Medicines Act is limited to what's on the medicines that are included on the union list of critical medicines that's published on our website. And so it's not linked to crisis-specific activities. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Sophia and Vanessa. Moving on. Does parallel import consider as a solution for replacement of product on a particular market? I'm not entirely sure of the content of this question. If any of my colleagues would like to respond to that. If not, could I please ask the requester if you could submit this question maybe in a broader context to us via Ask EMA, and then we will provide a proper answer to this question. Okay, thank you anyway. The next question is, in case of new product, there are launches, differences in countries and plans changes. Are those considered as shortage, or before first launch, it's not a shortage at all? So, taking this question as placing the product on the market for the first time. When you launch a product, you have to indicate the marketing status as marketed, and then indicating as well the first date when it was first marketed. So before it is marketed, there is not a shortage in the sense of the shortage definition from the regulation 2022/123, because this requires the product already being placed on the market. However, this would rather be an unavailability issue that we, with the ESMP, are not working on. Moving on to the next question. Is EMA working on a harmonized stock level requirement? As this varies per countries or national requirement, and some are not really clear. Maybe online we have Peter Jan with us who can take this, maybe Vanessa.
I can start maybe, and then Peter Jan may want to come in. And maybe just to say, we are not working on that at the moment, but we are aware of discussions that are ongoing at the level of the European Commission, both with the member states and with respect to their own strategies. So from our perspective, there's no information from our side, but we are aware that the discussions are ongoing at EU level. Thank you.
And from my end, I can also tell you that on EU level with the SPOC working group, this is currently not a topic for discussion in the upcoming months.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the next question. Could it be possible to remove the criteria must be no more than 2 years prior to the current date for the start date of a shortage? For long-term shortages, we have to modify the start date to match expectations to be able to submit any new shortage that can happen on other countries. This is against accuracy. I will give this statement or question to Sophia.
I think you can start that. Yeah.
Okay, sure. So indeed, we have this requirement, the validation rule actually, and you'll get an error if you indicate a date that is 2 years prior to the current date. As such, at the moment, if you want to indicate a new shortage that is happening newly in another country, and you have already notified us of the shortage in another country, you do not have to report the shortage again via ESMP unless we ask you to. This may be in specific cases where it's beneficial for the shortage management, but then you can also indicate only this shortage while not reporting any other shortages that may be going on for more than 2 years. Indeed, but thank you very much for this comment and for this use case as well. And Sophia, you would like to add something?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are counting on the fact that you have reported the shortage to us already before the ESMP was in place. So when the ESMP went live, we said that shortages that were previously reported to the EMA do not need to be reported again via the ESMP, since we were handling them via different channels. So there was no need to go back in the past as much. So we were counting on that fact, and therefore you would now, the shortage submissions that you are doing through the ESMP would only be new shortages in essence. So this is a scenario which would then be covered by that. But if you are facing, and if there's a lot of industry users who have shortages that have been ongoing for such a long time and that have not been reported to the EMA before the ESMP was established, do let us know. So send us and ask EMA question, and then we can gauge if this is a case that happens often, and then we will consider to change the requirements there. Thank you.
Going to the next question. Could we change the answers to words instead of numbers? It is much easier to copy and verify information if it is written in a proper language instead of having always to go back to some kind of conversion table. I can give this also to Sophia.
Actually, I'm not sure if we have Christoph, who is our main data architect on the product, or otherwise I would pass it over to Pedro Oliveira.
Is Christoph online? Christoph, you want to?
He is. Yeah, hello everybody. So I suspect that you mean the numbers that I used to refer to the RMS terminology that we require in the spreadsheets. I think that's maybe what you mean. Okay, I'll assume that. So we considered that at the beginning. However, in the light of future development for interoperability, we considered it, let's say, a safer approach to start using the coding convention with the term IDs that are in RMS. That is one thing. There are some exceptions. For instance, for countries, we do not ask for the RMS term IDs, but we ask for the country two-character, two-letter codes like B, E, D, E, N, L, F, R, and so on. So we have looked at options to simplify that and maybe allow the numbers, but yeah, this needs to be prioritized and seen whenever it can be implemented. Some terms are quite long. And then one reason is that we thought it might be more prone to potentially mistyping and rejection for typos in these potentially long term names. So these are a bit the kind of decisions that we had to go through. So we simplified into the term IDs, which can then also be used for the API. I expect there might be some streams to try and simplify and make it more user-friendly. We've discussed it internally, but it's a matter of prioritization. That's all I can say for now.
Yeah, just to add to that, also an additional, let's say, complexity was the fact that, for example, for the root cause, there can be multiple different root causes. So fields like that needed to have the option to select multiple values. And of course, if we're using the text, then it becomes rather difficult and also technically, let's say, near impossible then to handle the to be able to distinguish what is a text and what is multiple entries, and then it becomes rather lengthy as well. But indeed, it is something that we're also working on, and we're having discussions on how to streamline that and to make it more user friendly, because we also are aware that visually it is then hard to verify when you're doing a quick quality check of the file before you submit it. It is difficult to see whether you have input the correct term. So again, this is also something that we have in our improvement backlog and we'll be looking at.
Okay, thank you very much both for the answer. Moving on. When facing a temporary delay in the release of a product due to manufacturing distribution issues, issue in production, capacity, or distribution, potentially resulting in a shortage, how to report in IRIS. Manufacturing distribution issues are not covered by the reasons of cessation in IRIS. Okay, on this one, in case the MAH decides to temporarily cease the marketing of the product, indeed, and specific reason needs to be put in IRIS for this. But in case the marketing authorization holder does not temporarily cease the placing on the market of the product, the IRIS marketing status could stay marketed while there is a shortage due to this issue in production or a capacity issue or a distribution issue, indeed. And then it needs to be reported via ESMP, while the marketing status may remain marketed in case the MAH does not temporarily cease the placing on the market of the product. As such, in case the reasons of cessation in IRIS, I'm not aware of at the moment, but we can also look into this further if you would please send us question via the contact form on the website also, and then we can advise you better on this in case you would like to actually remove the marketing status as marketed and put temporarily unavailable indeed. So thank you for this question as well. Moving on. how will EMA ensure proper, as in according to requirements, notification of shortages? Will there be monitoring of product availability in the market? This is an excellent question. Any of my colleagues would like to provide an answer to this. As such, of course, you as MAH are required to submit the shortage to us, and we may also receive shortage reports from other stakeholders, for example, our national competent authorities, patients, healthcare professionals, or learned societies or such. However, we are really depending on notification from you as the MAH, as you have the most information available. And we really depend on you to work together with us to collaborate on the mitigation or prevention of shortages happening. So thank you to all complying with that as well. Moving on to the next question. Is additional data like market share should be provided new each time or retrieved once a year? Data is sufficient. And I can give this to Sophia.
Yes, I assume you're referring to submitting data on the marketing share when you're submitting the routine shortage reporting, when you're actually doing the submission. Of course, do provide all the data that you can when you're doing the submission, so it is easier for us to have that all in one place, because every shortage we're looking as a standalone entity. Of course, we might be looking at what previous shortages were happening for that product, but please do give us all the fresh information every time that you're submitting a report.
Okay, thank you very much. Next question. Are personalized ATMP medicines in scope, for example, autologous products using the patient's own cells? Is a delay in manufacturing considered a shortage? How long of a delay? We had this question before regarding the ex vivo gene therapeutic products, for example. Indeed, if you can foresee a shortage, you should report this to us. For further guidance, we would love for you to submit a question via Ask EMA to us to provide more details on such scenarios as well, and your take on this. And we will look into this to provide further guidance to you in the future on these products as well. Thank you very much for this question. Next question is, how do you use the data from ESMP in relation to mitigate shortages, as you have mentioned several times now? Can you please provide an example? Indeed, we had this question earlier today, I think. I don't know if any of my colleagues want to add anything on what I said before. But indeed, as mentioned, we do use the data to mitigate shortages, looking into it, assessing all of them, and taking actions on especially the more critical ones, stepping into contact with MAHs, alternative MAHs, maybe also our national competent authorities, the SPOC working party. We can also involve the MSSG, and then in the end, not in the end, but there are several regulatory flexibilities that can apply. For example, there's a whole MSSG toolkit which we can leverage on. So each shortage is specific and needs specific measures as such. So there's no ultimate example to cover all scenarios here also. The next question is there a system in place which alerts the MAH for certain products which are on the verge of going into shortfall? For example, seasonal flu medicines to mitigate the shortage and improve accessibility of essential medicines. On this, while the European Medicines Regulatory Network has tools to monitor supply and demand during crisis situations, to detect signals and also confirm disruptions, which allows for exchanges with relevant MAHs, companies should diligently have contingency plans in place to mitigate or prevent shortages if they occur as a part of their risk assessment. The next question is, could you give an example of a temporary marketing cessation that does not lead to a shortage? Why is an update to the marketing status in IRIS needed when there is no impact on medicine availability to patients? On this question, indeed, it could be that the MAH has a very low market share, for example, and decides to temporarily cease the marketing of a product in a specific market. And this would not therefore lead to a shortage, as the market share is maybe low or maybe zero, and therefore there is no shortage that needs to be notified via the ESMP. It's a legal obligation to update the marketing status in IRIS, as in the directive. We always, EMA always needs to be notified, as well as the member states, when a product is placed on the market or the marketing is temporarily or permanently ceased as well. But thank you very much for this question. Moving on, and in terms of time, I would say we take this one more question. And then I see another question on the screen, which is, will we receive the slides? Yes, of course, we will make the slides available on the dedicated event page of this Q&A session within the next few weeks, as well as the recording of the session as well. And then moving on to this question, the last question for today that we can take in this time that we have available. So, would you kindly consider providing the questions and answers from the sessions on top of the slides to us via the ESMP web page afterwards for future reference? We will analyze all the questions we received today again and see which questions we consider and are fitting into the frequently asked questions document as well. But in case you also have any other questions, you can always submit them via Ask EMA, the contact form on the EMA website. And of course, also, if you have any system issues, technical issues with ESMP as such, you can always go to EMA Service Desk and open a request for information or an issue there as well. Okay. With this, thank you very much for today's session, and I will ask to move to the next slide indeed and hand over back to Sophia. Thank you so much for all the valuable questions, and I hope this session was useful. Thank you.
Absolutely. So yes, thank you so much for all the questions. Of course, the ESMP sits in a very complicated regulatory landscape, and we see that there's a lot of connection with the marketing status, PMS data, and many other parts, also shortage prevention and mitigation plans. And of course, there's a lot of, as I said, complexity and therefore questions. So we hope that we were able to address some of those. And as Stephanie said, at any point, we're available at Ask EMA or the service desk that you can send us any other questions that you have. We would also ask you for your feedback. We have a feedback survey in Slido that will heavily influence on the events we will plan to organize in the future. So do let us know how you thought this session was done. If there's anything else that you were hoping to see but you didn't see, or any other thoughts that you might have, because of course we want to support you in the best way possible. And with that, it's noon, and we'll let you go to have your lunch break. And thank you again for all the attention. And we hope you enjoy using the system. And again, we'll be available via Ask EMA and EMA Service Desk. And have a wonderful day. Thank you.